In today's episode, today's video is really centered around that transition that's coming from the second Helix and moving over to the level 3. Now, before I go too much further, don't worry about my assistant. He doesn't have coronavirus. You see, with all the woodwork that's sort of been happening around in this room, it's gotten a little dusty. So while today's video will be centered around the transition, I will take you around to a lot of the other work that's sort of been happening, and you can sort of see bits and pieces behind me, next to me, that type of stuff, and I'll take you around and sort of show the progress to date. I won't have anything running in this video due to the fact that I've got dust all over the track. I've got sawdust that's actually covering tracks in certain areas. So before I take you around the layout and show you all the progress that I've made to date, I'm going to first show you some clips which will sort of show you the development cycle as I went through the transition bridge from the second Helix over to level 3. So first up, we're going to check out this transition bridge. I actually put it together with three pieces of sub roadbed. It just made it easier to get the right shape as I built it. And you can see on top there, I've already laid the sound deadening material as it comes all the way across up to level 3. Now you probably noticed a height difference here. Now I've done that on purpose because what I'm going to do is actually, when I raise the track a little bit with the roadbed, the cork roadbed, I'm going to actually have two pieces here, so just to sort of help that transition over this curve here. Because in hindsight, what I should have done is when I put this level 3 bench work together, I should have put this side here as a slight angle to that one, so it slowly sloped down towards this transition bridge. But anyway, I'm going to make do now, but what I'm going to do is just, there'll be an extra piece here and then there'll be the cork roadbed, and it should just help with that transition coming up from the bridge over to level 3. So this is the transition bridge from the other side. You can see here I've sort of braced it, and I've got a single piece of wood all the way over the other side. I might just show you from underneath. So I haven't done any cross-sectional support beams on this one because really it's quite sturdy, it's not going anywhere, and it's quite well, so it's only going to have trains running across it, so there wasn't any need to brace it any further. It'll come straight across and then over to level 3. And you can see there I've done the framework, I've done the sub roadbed, I've got the sound deadening material in place over on that side. Now what we'll do now, I'll show you basically a couple of items on this side. So you probably notice that I've got the level 2 branch line decking done. And you can see on the end here, I've braced it between level 1, level 2. I've got the sub road bed in, I've got the sound deadening material on. One thing you would have noticed on this end, previously this was where the height of level 2 was, and the initial plans was, because I'm going to have some sort of bridge and a river in this section here, and then I was just going to have the sub road bed raised to this level to meet this section over here. For me, it didn't make much sense to have that raised road bed, because I wasn't going to have any hills here. Once we come into this branch line area, I mean, this is getting in more into flat land. Obviously here in this section on level 2, I've still got to decide whether it's going to be the coach depot or whether it's going to be the loco depot and maintenance grounds and that type of thing. Another thing I've done on this side is I've got the backing on this side. If I can zoom back, I've sort of cut it out, screwed it all in, I've filled in the gaps. I've still got to come back and prime it and then paint it, obviously the sky blue like I have on that side. So, and that's what I was sort of talking about earlier, just to get that continuity with the backdrop. And again, on this side, I need to do the same thing, but first, you can see here the framing of the window that I put in. I've actually got to cut it back so it's flush against this board, and then I can put the other board over top and do the same thing on this side. So the other thing too I need to do, and I've spoken about it earlier, is basically I've got this support ready to go across here. I will be taking out that one and that one up there, and then putting this one in, and I'm going to basically make it the same configuration as this. Now I've ordered a whole bunch more boards, so that's ready to go. So that'll probably go in over the next week. And then basically, if I do need to step on this area, this is going to be well supported. I've already done it to that area there, and it holds my weight with no issues whatsoever. So I just wanted to show you the progress I've made on level 3. This side over here, we've got the sub road bed in. These curves here, what I actually did was took a sheet for the size I was cutting. I actually put it onto the bottom and then got underneath and traced around it, and that's basically how I got the same curve on this side. You can see there a whole bunch of sound deadening material. I've got more ordered because you know, with these long runs, and I've still got the rest of level 3 to do, including top of the Helix, and also on level 3 over there with the branch line. But anyway, what I thought I might do is just show you quickly, and I'll step up here for a moment, just bear with me. So the sound deadening material, now it's not something that I recommend for everyone. Look, I'm still trialing it. I'm still, you know, mucking around with a few things, and it's going to be interesting a little bit later with scenery. Now I don't expect any issues, but again, it does take longer to work with this stuff as opposed to straight out cork. Sort of show you here the sound difference. So, as I said, it sort of takes out a lot of the treble and sort of helps some of the bass to come through. I'm not claiming it to be the next best thing. It's just something I've used and I'm really happy with to date. Anyway, getting back to level 3 and what I've done. So I've taken a sub road bed all the way up to here. Now what I've got planned, because once I get into this area here, I've got 4 tracks and they're each going to be at different heights. So I plan to put a sheet of plywood like I've got here, and then do some cuts up the center so I can raise and lower as needed. And then just to make mention on this side, so I've got the sub road bed in there. I'll lift this up so you get a good view. Now again, on this side, how I got the curves, and as you can see down here, I couldn't just put a full board across because basically I've got all that stuff in the way over there. So I had to come up with another idea. Now, what I originally did on this level 1 was actually use this tool you can see right here. So this board right here, in the middle here, I've got the yardstick where I've got pre-defined holes drilled up here, and that's basically what I used up here. And so I put a pencil in, took it around when I had the board up there, and then cut it out. And that basically, this is the same tool I used on level 1. So it's roughly, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's roughly the same curve as on level 1, you can see there. Now again, I've started with the platform above the first helix. You can see here I've got 3 sides in at the moment. I actually haven't got to cutting out the curve yet. The only other thing on this side is a couple of weeks ago I built up the side walls of the viaduct. You can see here I've put another piece of 3mm MDF on the inside just to build up those walls. Now, as I said earlier, this room, dust everywhere. And I'm not, while it is annoying me, I'm not going to do a full clean just yet because I want to get all this cut here because that's going to obviously make a hell of a lot of mess. Also, that window's still got to be done. I need to trim that back, as I mentioned earlier, and that's going to make a hell of a mess. So I'm not going to do anything until I finish the main bit of cutting and trimming and that type of stuff, and then I'm going to do a full cleanup of this place. It really is needed, and that might mean taking everything out, cleaning it all, and then bringing pieces in one at a time. One of the other things that I'll make mention, that I did mention on the way through, is because I've got the brackets that are on top, because obviously I alternate one on top, one on the bottom, one on top, and you're probably wondering how did I get around the sub road bed and it's still flush there. What I actually did was, you can probably see it if I zoom in close enough, I took a router to route out that section there so it would just fit flush over the bracket. So where to from here? So I've got a few things on order. I've got the remainder of the points for level 3 on order. I'm actually buying my stuff now from Orient Express, and the service is great. They're really quick with sending stuff out, and haven't had any issues. So I'm really happy with that store and their service. Just a bit of a shout out. I don't get anything for it, but just you know, happy to compliment good service when I get it. So that's been the progress to date on this layout. Now, there's been a couple of mishaps along the way as well that I sort of mentioned earlier that I was going to talk about. Now, one of them is I had a bit of an accident with one of my electric drills. You see, it was sitting up on level 2. I've bumped it. It came crashing down on level 1. Now, you're thinking, what's wrong with that? But I had some track under it, and obviously there's a piece of track that got bent, and obviously it needs to be replaced. Now, what you can see here is I've actually straightened that a fair bit, so it was a lot worse, but I'll need to come back to it and actually cut that out and replace that section. The second mishap is, unfortunately, I've taken out 4 locos that basically fell off a shelf and hit the ground. Yeah, 4. Look, 2 of them not too bad. A couple bits came off. I can glue them back on. That's not such a drama, although I haven't tested it out on the track, so I still need to check that. But on the outside, it looks all good. I also had the pay bus that hit the ground as well. That seemed to be okay as well, but again, haven't tested it on the track to make sure it still runs smoothly. In actual fact, that pay bus never ran smoothly from the day I actually got it, so I actually got to come back to that anyway and sort of work out what's going on. The other one is my 48 class. That didn't come off as well. One of the trucks is actually, looks like it's probably been dislodged internally, and it's sort of stuck in a certain position and I can't move it. So it seems like something's lodged inside of it, and I need to really open up that and have a good look. And I was a little bit careless, but I've learnt from it and moving on. But coming back to the project, I'm going to be building a custom storage cabinet for my locos and carriages.